Hello and welcome to a brand spanking new video here in Flight Simulator 2020. Now, today's video we have moved from our regular air flying area in the United Kingdom due to the fact of the weather being a little bit, well, a little bit snowy, a little bit cold, a little bit wet, a little bit miserable. Thank goodness for Microsoft Flight Simulator coming out with a new scenery package, because we have moved over to the sunny area of the Caribbean, and I have a new aircraft for you here. We have the Cessna T207A Stationair, which was released as part of the famous Flyer pack or series of aircraft. The latest version. I've been meaning to get this aircraft for some time. Like I said, I do like a good GA aircraft, and I've been eyeing this aircraft up as it's a Cessna, but it's a Cessna that's a little bit different. So first and foremost, before we go into the scenery, let's just have a look at what you get with a Cessna. Now, this was made in cahoots between Carenado and Asobo. Now, Carenado are known for some of the most beautiful GA aircraft on the Flight Simulator right now. Very functional, a lot of additions to their aircraft, but this is not a totally 100% Carenado aircraft, and it is reflected in the price point. So don't expect this to be a fully fledged Carenado product, but I can say that from the exterior and the looks of this aircraft, it looks the part. It's very Cessna-ish. Where this aircraft fits in the Cessna, family is that think of it as a stretched Cessna 172. We do have an extra large cabin area here for passengers. Now, part of the package you get when you order the T207A Stationair is you get 3 variants. You get this one, which is the air taxi version, so we have extra seating in the back. If you could just see, we've got an extra row of seats back here. We also get a cargo variant, which removes the rear seats and obviously uses the extended section at the rear here behind the wing for carrying cargo. And we also have, if you're a lunatic, parachutist version, which will end up with a door put into the side of the fuselage for the lunatics to jump out of. Obviously, we don't have any lunatics modelled, but we do have the parachute variant of the aircraft. So, externally speaking, like I said, it is a very, very good rendition of this aircraft. You can see the rivers, you can see the divots and the dints and all the rest of it that you see in the tail. You know, it's not a smooth structure. You'd think it would be completely smooth with an aircraft. It isn't. It is a very well done. What I do like to see as well is it's a dirty aircraft. So underneath here we've got stains from the engines, from the oil, from the various leaks. It's an old aircraft. I like aircraft to look like they've been used, and that's exactly what you get with the Stationair. Now, moving on to where we are before we jump inside the aircraft. We are currently sat at Princess Juliana International Airport. Never featured it in a video for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. Have featured it in previous videos that I used to do in FSX, and they were using payware scenery. Can't remember exactly what the company was that made it, but it is a very, very famous airport. In fact, all the airports that are in this scenery pack we just got released are famous for quite a few things. Princess Juliana is famous for, if you sit at the end of runway 10, which is back down behind us here, there's a beach and you can literally sit on arrivals and watch 747s go over your head. Bit of a health and safety no-no, but it is, for the photographic aviation person, it is a absolute joy. If we look, I don't know whether you can see it, currently behind the island, the next island along, St. Bart's, has one of the most ludicrous approaches in pretty much all of aviation. You fly if you fly into runway, again, 10, I do believe, you would be flying down a hillside. Now, we're not going to go into that one in this video. We're just going to be taking the Stationair on a little tour of Princess Juliana. Like I say, this scenery has just been released. It's part of the next series of photogrammetry, I think the word is, pack that Microsoft seemed to release, or Asobo seemed to release every now and again. So I thought, like I said, we'd take this new aircraft on a little tour around Princess Juliana International Airport and around St. Martin as an island as a whole. So let's cut the intro, let's jump inside the aircraft and show you what you get with this Cessna that's a little bit different than normal Cessnas. So, welcome aboard the interior of the Cessna T207A Stationair. And like I said at the start of the video on the exterior, this is a Carenado product, so we get a very accurate rendition of a Cessna 207. I don't believe the 207 was actually featured in Flight Simulator as of yet, until this aircraft came out at least. Now, when I did start this video and I said that Carenado make, some of the best looking GA aircraft, it's transferred over to this aircraft as well. Yes, it is very good looking and functional, and it's got all the bits and pieces that you'd expect to fly this aircraft very well and navigate this aircraft. What we don't get is what would be down in that little pouch down there. In a Carenado aircraft, you would get the little tablet to change the multitude of options. Let's say you want to change the navigational systems, or you want to add, static elements to the aircraft. Let's say wheel chocks, engine covers, that kind of stuff. You don't get any of that with the Stationair. You don't even get a tablet. So we are stuck with the navigational system in the aircraft, and it's fine, it works. It's not a GTN 750, unfortunately. In fact, what it is, I did write this down actually, we have a GNS 530 navigational system. Mine just went blank then. We have the Bendix King navigational system here. There's two units down here. Beneath that, with a GTX 320 transponder system. So it's functional, it works, I'm not knocking it. It is the navigational system we are used to in Flight Simulator, so if you're using this one, it's been featured before in many Flight Simulators. Instrument wise, we have a standard 8-pack really, with obviously speedos, banks, compasses, altitude, rate of climb, rate of descent, and then your navigational equipment over on the right. Below we have the fuel flow for your engine. If going right underneath the flight column, we just remove that. We have the light controls, fuses, don't expect them to work. Remember, this is not a Carenado full product. We have batteries, we have fuel pumps, your ignition, your magneto key, or ignition key, I suppose you want to call it. The master avionics switch, that little sod that disappears in the aircraft. If you put the flight column back on, it took me a while to find where the thing was when I first flew this aircraft, I'll be perfectly admit to that. We have a throttle, propeller mixture, propeller and mixture, prop pitch even, flap control, various instrumentation, RPMs, again fuel flow, engine temperatures, T's and P's, over on the right hand side with the co-pilot. Like I said, this is the air taxi version, I suppose is what the technical term would be, and as you can see we have rows of seats, 3 rows of seats. I don't know who will be sitting in the back, but they must be very small. So yeah, like I said, there's 3 variants of this aircraft. The cargo variant will not have these seats, and this will all be open, henceforth to carry cargo. And we then have the lunatic version, which is the parachute version, which would have a giant door in the side for the lunatics to vacate the aircraft when they feel like it. Another unique part of this aircraft is you have this twin structure, which is it's quite in your view. It doesn't really affect it, but it's something that on most Cessnas we don't actually have. We do have it in the Stationair. Obviously, I don't know why they put it in the Stationair and it doesn't feature in many other Cessnas, but it's there, it's different. Another thing that is a bit of a deal breaker for some people is the visibility. So if I centralise this and turn my TrackIR back on again, the view from the front, it's okay. You know, it's a nose wheel aircraft, it's not a tail dragger, which would be even worse. If you start viewing to the side, you have to really duck down to actually see what's going on underneath the wings and left and right. Not really too much use and too much of an issue, I should say, in the air, but when you're taxiing on the ground, if you don't know where you are, it can be a little bit of an issue. So yeah, basically, you know, everything else works on this aircraft. Good sounds as well. Remember, this is I wouldn't say it's a full study level version of the Cessna, but it is a very good and functional version of the Cessna T207A Stationair. Obviously, this Carenado product, you know, Carenado's technology and ability to make great GA aircraft has rubbed off on this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to cut all this out and we're going to start with the actual flight, the bit that you actually want to pay attention to. So, welcome back to the Stationair, the Cessna T207A. Currently we are sat at, well, not the main departures or the main terminal building here at Princess Juliana. That will be over to our left, behind that shed stroke hangar. What we're going to do is we're going to start up here and we're going to taxi out. We are not going to be taxiing out the main taxiway. We're going to actually fast taxi back up the runway. Don't have to worry about air traffic due to the fact there isn't any. People might ask why I don't put AI traffic on, at the very least AI traffic. It's not realistic, it doesn't look the part, you know. I've seen this airport with KLM 747s arriving. You don't get KLM 747s with the AI traffic, so it doesn't look realistic, they don't function that well, and if I had to have that on, I have to have the ATC on, and as we all know, ATC in Flight Simulator is not good. So, centralise the view. So, first coming, putting the batteries on. Alternator is on. Pop pitch full. Mixture full. Open back up a little bit. Beacon light to say anyone around us we are live aircraft. Throttle set about quarter to half an inch. Fuel tab down the bottom here is always set to left. We can obviously set this to right and off. Obviously, if this was a more functional aircraft, should I say, a full fidelity, this would be in the off position at the start. Set the parking brake, make sure it is set. Everything else is off. Yeah, I'd say we're just about ready to go. Don't need the avionics on just yet. Right. Mag switched on to both. Parking brake set, throttle set, pop pitch set, mixture set. Clear prop! Don't know why I'm saying that, there's no one around here. Looking for about 1000 RPM on the startup, and we have 1000 RPM. All temperature starting to come straight away, all pressure in the green. Fuel flow is on, and it is good. Probably should have really turned on the fuel pump, so we'll turn that on for we get out to the runway. Nav lights coming on. Strobes we will not turn on until we go onto the taxiway. So this is the one problem I had when I first started this aircraft, where to turn the avionics on. And like I said at the start of the video, the avionics is hidden underneath the control column, and even with TrackIR it can be a bit of a swine to find. But this time we've got it. So right, while the while the Garmin unit is setting up, we will set our altimeter even for 0, because we are staying in the local area. We are going to be flying around Princess Juliana. We will set Transponder for 7,000, which I believe is a VFR. If I can just get that right. Set that to standby. Set that. We're not going to be using the sat-nav, we don't need to, we just need to fly around an island, it's not that difficult. One thing I have noticed, and this is nothing to do with this aircraft, but it's when you set up this GTN sat-nav, or the GTS sat-nav even, it takes a while to search out the satellites. I knew that when we first had the flight simulator, this was very quick to get past the acquiring part of this program, but I think there was an update not so long back, and it's now changed into a more quote-unquote realistic acquiring time to get the satellites. So at the moment it's picked up the satellites around there, but it does sit for a while on acquiring before it gets the information as to where we are, which is fine because it allows us to make sure our T's and P's are correct. We'll set the flaps for one stage. Now we don't need any more than that. And there we go, sat-nav has loaded. We'll set that up for... don't really need it, actually, like I said, we don't really need it. So, taxi light's coming on. We'll lean the engine just a little bit. We don't need to be running such a high setting. So, clear on the left side, clear on the right side, clear on the front. Like I say, it's quite difficult to see. This aircraft does sit rather nose high. Transponder is set standby, so yeah, we'll just remember to set that up to get going. Coming off the parking brake, let's go. Always test your brakes. Very important, it's the last thing that's going to make you stop. And like I say, we are going to head out to the runway and do our fast taxi back up the runway, it's just easier. So we are clear on the left side, clear on the right side. Like I say, it is quite difficult to see underneath the wings due to the unique way that the Cessna squats. Another beautiful day here at Princess Juliana in the Caribbean, you would expect so. At the moment in the UK, it's not the best. We've actually had snow warnings. I don't know whether that's for the way I live, but it has been threatening cold weather at the very least. Will do is set autopilot up a little bit. We will be using that. So you might not see particularly well from the cockpit here, but if we just go beyond the runway, there is a fence, and beyond the fence is airplane spotter's heaven. That beach, you are allowed to stand on the beach, right on, the landing area for very big aircraft. And likewise, you get these very big aircraft taking off. So you do see videos. You look on YouTube, just put on a YouTube search engine, Princess Juliana departures and arrivals, and you'll see the lunatics standing at the back of the on the beach, getting blown all over the beach from a 747. So we don't have to worry about that. We don't put out that much thrust. So let's shut that. Right, so strobe lights coming on, transponder set to alt, and we will have fuel pump is now set to on, mixture full, pop pitch is full. I do believe everything seems to be set all right. Turn off the taxi lights, don't need them. We're not going to have the landing lights on, we don't really need them, it's bright sunlight. Right, so coming off the parking brake, sitting on the wheel brakes, we'll throttle up. Set and rolling. Airspeed is live. Flaps coming up. And we'll immediately go into a right-hand turn. We can climb out and go over the hills, but it's just easier to do a right-hand turn and fly out in between these hills. Heading bug, get it ready for what we need. As we climb up past 1,000 feet, altimeter, altitude. Heading bug engaged. So, there we go. Departure out of Princess Juliana International Airport here at St Martin. So much different to the hustle and bustle and cold weather flying. That we get normally here in the UK and in Europe. We're actually going to fly with the autopilot set. It lets you look at the scenery. As we fly around Princess Juliana. It's just part of the new update to the photo geometry. I can't never say that word. The PG, let's call it the PG, that Asobo releases every now and again. We have the Caribbean that was released. I can't remember how many airports that have been involved and improved, but I've always wanted to fly around Princess Juliana. It's well, should I say around St Martin even. It is one of those lovely islands that just, it's relaxing, and it's an airport that, or should I say it's an island that this particular aircraft would be flying around. It is what they use to get around the islands. They use air taxis. It's just so much easier. Yes, you can use a boat, but a boat is slow. A boat is lumbering. A boat is old-fashioned. So it's an aircraft. That's how they get stuff around. The island that will be currently sat behind us, you can't quite see it, St Bart's. like I say, with a rather interesting approach. We will be flying into St. Bart's. I have been trying to practice this, and now there is numerous approaches you can do into St. Bart's. You can do the down the hill, oh my god, that's really a landing approach, or you can come in on runway 28. Now, runway 28 is also interesting because you have two alternatives to get into runway 28. You can do the go over and around the bay, which is basically fly at a landmass and turn right into the runway, or you can fly over the island as if you was going to approach runway 10, and you can basically turn, I can't think, it's 120 degrees round a hill and descend between the hills, and you have to get to certain points of scenery at a certain altitude, a certain speed, as you approach runway 28. Now, if you hit the last, I'm going to refrain from using the word hit, but if you do not go past the last bit of scenery, which I do believe is a hotel, at the right altitude, you have to pull up. You cannot land, okay? You have to go for a go-around, because as you will see, St. Bart's is surrounded by three sides, I should say, by hills, so you cannot take off from runway 28. You have to land, you have to, you know, if you hit that hotel, go around the hotel I should say, you reach that point at the hotel, you have to, you know, you're landing, there's no two ways about it. So it's a very interesting approach. I have been making approaches into runway 28, and runway 28 is used. Obviously runway 10 is the one that everyone understands to be the one that is oh so scary. So as you can see, this Cessna 208, it's a great aircraft. It's a Cessna that's slightly different. Yes, it's slightly different because it has the stretched back end. There's nothing really that we see from the front, apart from these V structures here, which is obviously used to give the aircraft a bit of rigidity. But it's a very nice aircraft, very good sounding aircraft as well. I always say sounds are so important in aircraft, and especially in an aircraft that you can is readily available. You can get in this aircraft. It's not like it's an F-14 Tomcat, for instance. You know, it's very difficult for companies to get hold of the proper sounds for those. Not impossible, but difficult. Just using the autopilot to actually navigate the aircraft. It's just easier. Currently set at, well, we're set, the altimeter is set for 1,500 and we're currently sitting at 1,000, just higher than 800, so that makes sense. T's and P's are all good. RPM's just good. Fuel flow is good. Now you may notice there was another airport down here. To our left, just underneath our wing, is an airport. I have forgotten the name. Yep, I've forgotten it, completely forgotten it, what it's called. It's very weird for an airport to exist, well, sorry, an island to have two airports like this, but we do have two airports here. Something Case? I can't remember exactly what it is. But again, it's a rather interesting approach. You can approach over the sea from this side and you're going over the houses. Don't let that runway fool you. It is quite short. Again, if you're going from the opposite way, you have an approach over land and over houses. I don't think you're going to get big aircraft going in there, but you are going to get aircraft like this Cessna, for instance. But again, lovely scenery. So much more different to the norm that I've been flying at the moment. Always checking the T's and P's. Everything is running as it should be. Now, when I look at GA aircraft, like I said, I do like a good VFR GA aircraft. Cessnas, Piper Archers, things of that nature, you know, they're very, very good to me. I like them. And I always like to see how detailed a developer goes when it comes to creating said aircraft. You can make it look like the proper aircraft. You can have functionality of the controls, your switch gear. You know, I mean, this aircraft doesn't have it because, you know, the price point shows it does not have it, but the fuse panel, for instance, in some aircraft actually now functions, and it's something that we as consumers in Flight Simulator are asking developers to put in. We want our fuses to blow in certain circumstances. Obviously, like I say, in this aircraft it doesn't have it, but something I have noticed is if you look out on the wing, just before the wingtip, you see two vanes, I think, what technical terms, I can't remember exactly what they are, but they are moving with the wind. It's completely pointless as far as flying this aircraft, but it is something that I like to see. It's something you would see in a real aircraft, and you've got them on the right hand side as well. Completely pointless, but it adds to the realism. Remember, this aircraft is not a study level A to A just flight aircraft or Carenado aircraft. It is developed by Carenado with help with obviously Asobo as an agreement between the two of them. Right, so we're going to come off the autopilot now, set myself up. I've had my feet off the rudder pedals. And what we're going to do, because we don't have to worry about air traffic, like I say, because there ain't none, we're going to start our descent, and we'll make a right-hand loop, turning back to land into runway 10. Now herein lies the joy and therefore challenge of flying over water. When you're flying over land, you can gauge your altitude. Obviously you have an altimeter slapped straight back in front of you, but you can gauge it by looking out the window saying I am X amount of altitude above, you know, the ground. Here over the sea it's a little bit different. We do have a little bit of wind causing a few waves, but if the wind was any less, that water would look smooth, unrealistic, but smooth, and it would be a nightmare to try and land. And many aircraft have come a cropper in that very scenario. So prop pitch is coming up. Mixture we will keep where it is, we don't really need anything like that. So landing lights are coming on. Airspeed is slowly descending. Right, checks for landing. We have fixed undercarriage, don't have to worry about that. Flaps going down to one stage. Airfield is in sight. Fuel pump is on. Landing lights are on. Levers are correct. T's and P's are correct. Got a nice long runway here at Princess Juliana, so we don't have to worry about an overshoot. We can land quite late on the runway and still be perfectly fine. Airspeed is good, 500 feet descent. Coming on to finals. Final checks, everything is cushy. Over the threshold. Aiming for a landing point. Throttle back. We're here, hey! This aircraft's live. And this aircraft's very live. Crosswind just called me. Lovely approach, scary landing. That probably does describe my flying, actually, if I'm perfectly honest. But we have actually managed to get to our taxi point. So, strobes coming off, landing lights coming off, flaps coming up. Mixture coming back. I'm actually going to park the aircraft over to the right. I have to sit up in my seat to actually see. I'm 6 foot odd tall and I have to sit up. It's hilarious. I could press spacebar and obviously lift the view up, but then I really do suffer with the view from the side. Parking brake set. Fuel pump is now set off. Nav lights are off. Beacon lights are on. All other lights are off. I can find the switch for that. Everything is set. So there we go. Cessna T207 Stationair. A Cessna and then some. It's a stretch Cessna. Obviously, this aircraft does suffer with crosswinds due to the fact of it having a larger side section, which is exactly what we got on the approach. Because there is next to nothing on the right hand side of the approach, I'm making excuses and it's a good one. I would say we had a crosswind and it just caught the aircraft on approach, which is the reason why it was rather squirrely and rather impressive. Would look rather good on the photos for any people that were actually standing at the bottom of the runway here on approach. So, like I say, this is a great aircraft if you like your GA/VFR aircraft. This is a fully functioning aircraft. It's not study level, but it is fully functioning. We have, obviously, navigational gear. We can't switch it out for anything else. I don't know whether in the future there's going to be plans to switch it out for GTN 750s, but we do have fully functioning navigational gear, so you can take this aircraft on long distance navigational flights. You can fly it purely by the column, but you can also fly it with your with your navigational aids, as we've just flown around an island basically on autopilot. So it can be flown like that. So yeah, if you want an aircraft that's a little bit different, check this one out. It's on the marketplace right now. I believe it's still retailing for about £8 in the UK, whatever that equates to in your own nationality. It'll be whatever it is, but I think it's worth £8 odd. I think it's a really good aircraft. Great sounding, great looking, internally and externally. I'll probably give this about a 7 or 8 out of 10 for its functionality as a whole on the package. So, like I said, I hope you've enjoyed this video. We will be coming back to this scenery in the future, and I will be taking other aircraft, slightly bigger aircraft than this. I have got plans for certain turboprops and certain twin engine aircraft, and we will be doing more flights around from, should I say, Princess Juliana, and we will be flying into St. Bart's and other Caribbean locations. So there's something to look forward to. If I can't land at a big airport like this properly, how the heck am I going to land in St. Bart's? So I'll see you guys and girls in a future Flight Simulator video.